Welcome to the WriterDojo. Your host, Steve Diamond.
Hello.
And Larry Correia.
Hello.
Today's episode, your muse is as real as your kid's imaginary friend.
Welcome back, everyone, to the WriterDojo. We're pleased to have you with us. Today we're going to tackle a very important topic that I think Larry and I have touched on it before. We're going to go in depth on this one because it's the thing that drives us both crazy. And that is the idea that your muse controls you and controls your productivity.
Absolutely. This is a common thing amongst a lot of writers, and it's a very, very dangerous trap.
What are the common excuses that we see with muses, Larry? They'll say it's their muse, or they say they got writer's block and they can only do it at a certain time. So what are some of the ones you've heard?
Writer's block is a big one, where it's like, how do I overcome writer's block? Or I can't work because it's not moved to me. I've not been moved. Well, variations of that.
I'm just a conduit for this story. It writes itself for me.
Oh, yeah, I hate that one. Basically, the more artsy-fartsy, hippy-dippy it gets, the worse it gets. And where I see people fall in this trap is a lot of people like the idea of being a writer, and so they'll talk about this. Like, they'll take what we do, and they'll build it up like it's mystical, like it's magical, that only special, talented people can do what I do. And so other people, aspiring writers, hear this and they buy into this, this bill, and this, they get bilked and they think, oh wow, well, it's a mystical, powerful thing.
I just have to sit here, or I'm just going to not sit here, not do the work, but don't worry. Yeah. It will strike me.
Yeah. And so when people fall into this trap, what you're doing is you're putting an imaginary friend, you're putting this metaphysical burden upon yourself as a creative.
Well, as I tell people, Larry, and when it comes to the muse, it is just that. It's just as real as your kid's imaginary friend. And I don't mean in the horror stories that I write, where they are real and they come and kill you. Though, frankly, that's what's going to happen to your story if you listen to this imaginary friend. It's going to kill your story because it's not going to do crap for you.
It's kind of like, I think we have talked about this before on the show about writer's block, and how as accountants, when we used to be accountants, how we couldn't have accountant's block because we get fired.
Yeah,
you can have doctor's block.
Yeah, I don't get to go in and be like, hey boss, boy, it's been a really tough day. I've got accounting block today, so if you're cool with it, I'm just gonna go sit in the corner drinking a Coke. And, don't worry. At some point, I'm sure, maybe not this month, but maybe next month, I'll get it back and I can do accounting for you.
I'm sure the spreadsheets will speak to me.
Yeah.
Or whatever career it is, no one's going to buy that.
Nope.
Because the thing is, though, careers like doctor, bus driver, welder, fisherman don't have this mystical, artistic nonsense glommed onto it. So our career field has built up this really fake, really inflated, ego-boosting, I'm so brilliant bunch of crap, basically, about what it means to be a writer.
Well, and I had a friend, a mutual friend of ours who's an artist, painter, say to me, it's like, you know what? Because I floated this topic by him because I wanted to get not just like the writing stuff, because
some of the other career fields that have the artistic.
There's a lot of career stuff in there, and while this is a writer's podcast, but in reality, all the stuff that we're talking about, it's all over the place. It can be used in like actual real life, as like Larry, we're self-help. We're like chicken soup for the soul.
Oh man,
writers.
This is actually a self-help podcast.
That's right. So here's what he told me when I brought up the thing of muses. He said, he's like, oh yeah, muses are a big thing in the art community. I said, oh really? Is that a thing? He's like, well, yeah, I mean, pretty much what that means is that the artist has a model that he wants to sleep with. And so he says that that's who his muse is. So it has nothing to do with work. right?
Uh,
And so I laughed at that because, like that's about the extent of it.
yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, if you look at how different careers are portrayed in the movies, you ever notice how writers are portrayed in movies?
Oh gosh.
We're almost always tortured
Tortured,
geniuses.
frazzled, hairs everywhere, glasses are broken.
Or either that, or like they're the handsome author who's on book tour, who's sleeping with all the hot chicks until the murder mystery happens.
Right.
It's
Or
so.
until
Guys, for those of you that are starting out, you may have some delusions about this career field, but honestly, and Steve and I are here to tell you that this is a job. It's a job like any other job. And the vast majority of us who are successful and doing this as a career is because we treat it as a job.
Yep. And oh man, the one that I hear a lot, and you can refer back to our episode on this, is the Muse hasn't given me any ideas, or I don't have any ideas right now. Well, look, like you listen, I think it was like our second or third episode where we talk about ideas.
Yeah.
And we say this all the time. Ideas don't matter. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah, there's very few authors who don't have plenty of ideas to work with. Ideas are the easiest part.
There are different
The hard part's
things
the work
for
part.
different authors that get you going. For me, at this stage in life, because I'm as we are frequent to mention, I still have a day job, and for just $1 a month, you can be a supporter and help us lift me and Jack up from perdition into, being, not having day jobs.
Oh,
Anyway,
man.
So in my stage in life, for me, it's almost always like desperation. I'll take a couple days off, or I'll take a week off, and it's like, yeah, don't talk to me, because I have no choice but to get everything done right now.
Yeah.
And if I don't get it done right now, I'm not sure when the next time is that I'm going to be able to get it done.
Yeah.
And then there's other people who set a schedule, and they can make that happen, and they can work at it.
And with me being a full-time writer, it's different. I got a lot more freedom.
Yeah, of course.
And I, my production rate's about the same, but I have a lot better quality of life. And so it's one of those things where you just got to figure out what works for you, and then go accordingly. But in any career field, there is no career field where the most successful path is basically going just completely off of like an imaginary friend feeling. And the thing is, to be fair, a lot of people, I think John falls in this category, but people who talk about the Muse, I think the Muse is just kind of slang. Well,
Sure.
For some of them. For the professionals, for the ones that actually have careers, the Muse is a slang thing. And it really comes down to is I'm inspired, I'm excited, I have an idea that I'm pumped up about, I really want to get to this. That's the Muse. That's really what the Muse is.
Yeah, don't mistake your excitement or lack thereof for the story you're writing as like the Muse. We talk about it a lot. Like a lot of times it's, how can you manufacture for yourself that excitement to continue on during the parts of the story? Look,
That's a really good question.
I love writing explosions as much as
Yeah.
the next guy. I like writing super violent monster deaths probably more than the next guy. But it's those pieces in between. I think we brought this up in a Q&A episode at one point. That was, how do you connect those big exciting pieces in the middle? And if you're spending all of your time writing the big exciting pieces, it's super easy to look down at the other parts in between and go, yeah, but that's boring. And it's easy to rationalize, yeah, I'm too tired to write that. And then it's easy to rationalize, well, I'm just not motivated, or I just don't, my Muse isn't helping me write this part right now. You know what? Your Muse isn't your Muse is not something that you can just flog constantly.
You guys can tell that me and Steve swear a lot in real life, but we're trying hard not to do so on this podcast.
So your Muse is not something that you should just, like, it's not a switch. Like, it doesn't exist, guys. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. And one of the things I like to say is that creativity is not a faucet. You can't just turn on the creativity faucet and it flows freely all the time, and then you shut it off when you're done. That's not how it works. You guys got to figure out what you need to do in order to be able to turn that faucet on and have a full tank. Now, and this is one of the things that I've talked about. This is a pet peeve of mine, like on the internet, where people drive me nuts. Where you'll see this all the time with authors, where an author will have a social media presence or whatever. And anytime an author talks, and I've gone on giant tirades about this, anytime an author will talk about something other than writing, inevitably some helpful fan will jump on and say, you should be writing. You have a writer will post, he'll be out mountain climbing or fishing or playing with his dog or painting a mini or playing video games, whatever it is. Inevitably, some helpful guy will be like, you should be writing. And when I pointed out to these people that is incredibly destructive. Now, I got rhino hide. And so I like, actually one of my hobbies is fighting with people on the internet. So for me, that's like...
That's how you recharge.
Well, for me, that's like hunting over bait. I'm like throwing out corn behind my house for deer to come in.
To me, to use a shark analogy that I used in another episode, that's just slapping the water with chum.
Just chum in the water.
Just waiting for the shark to come out and attack you.
But really what it comes down to is that writers have to recharge, because what regular people don't realize, and what a lot of people who listen to this podcast already understand, is that you're a writer no matter whether you're writing or not. Your head is always kind of in the clouds. You're that guy that's always thinking of stories. You're that
working.
guy.
That's not like...
That's working.
Yeah, it's not like me, sitting here drinking this delicious soda. I don't just take a sip and I'm call it a day.
Brought to you by Fizz.
Brought to you by Fizz Drinks. We're not sponsored by them, but we want to be.
They should. As much money as they've spent there.
It's not... Yeah, you don't just take this sip. Like, your brain is actively actively working. It's saying your brain is actively working and it's engaged the entire time. And it's like in the old cartoons whenever they show anyone who's thinking too hard, steam starts coming out of their ears and stuff like that.
A little thought bubble gets all heat laid.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not like that's that far off from the truth.
No. So what I'm saying, so when that author is fishing or biking or whatever it is, and you guys are like, oh, get back to work, get back to the word mines. What you don't seem to realize is that guy is working. He is filling up the tank so he can turn on that creativity faucet tomorrow in front of his keyboard. And when you guys start barking at him, like I said, I got rhino hide, but a lot of writers don't. A lot of people that go into this business are kind of sensitive types to our detriment and to their benefit sometimes. I mean, I'm assuming there's a benefit. I don't know. And Steve's kind of a sociopath, so it's but you got these people that, like, they think they're helping by the yelling at you, and it's really not, because what you're doing is people are putting undue pressure upon these writers, because most of those writers feel guilty anyway. But guys, don't feel guilty. You need to fill your bucket. Don't feel guilty for doing fun things. Don't feel guilty for getting away from the computer.
Oh yeah, and the people that say, oh well, but writing is fun. That is your fun release. And it's like, yeah, no.
No, it is at first, and it is sometimes. But the thing is, it's still a job. And to put in the production necessary to make a career out of it, you are well past that threshold of where it's just pure joy.
Think about any successful athlete.
I'm sure.
I'm a big baseball guy, okay?
Yeah.
And
they love baseball.
They adore baseball. They eat, drink, and sleep baseball. Same with football players, right?
But they go out and train for 10 hours straight.
Do you think that... I'm sure that there are some of them that really do love being a gym rat, and they love the working out and the process and everything like that. Great for them. But the vast majority of them, do you think they actually enjoy that?
Oh, not the blood, sweat, and tears part.
Do you think they love, after the game, going and sitting in a tub filled with ice water? I'm sure that they maybe they see the necessity of it. Maybe there's a masochist or four out there that love that.
Well, like 18 years ago, I was a really good competitive shooter. Mm-hmm. A couple different sports, but primarily my main game was 3-gun. And I love shooting. I love 3-gun. I love competing. I had, back in the day, I was pretty good at it. but I would dry fire for 30 minutes every night. And just practice, holster and draw and sight acquisition.
And that's monotonous.
Well, reloads.
When your draw is sub 1, then 30 minutes
a night. Yeah. And so you would do that and do that and do that and do that and do that. Is that fun? No, it's not fun. Not at all. And anybody who says that's fun, wow, then you're a special kind of guy. But the thing is, that's true for anything that you excel at, and writing is the exact same way.
All right. So when we come back from break, we're basically gonna treat this like it's AA. So the first step in recognizing this issue with your muse is admitting that you have the problem. So when we get back, we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So thanks. We'll be right back.
A lost colony planet, a perplexing murder, and a dogged homicide cop in this Audible original story from best-selling author Larry Correia and narrated by Oliver Wyman. When the biggest colony ship in human history was sent to settle a paradise world, an accident hurtled it deep into uncharted space. 1,000 light years from Earth, with no way home and no way to call for help. The colonists' only hope for survival was the one barely habitable planet in range, a nightmare world they named Croatoan. Landing on the only 5 mountain peaks tall enough to rise above the lethal acid clouds, the settlers carved a civilization from the rock. 100 years later, 5 Points has grown into a city of corruption and violence, with powerful corporations ruling the surface domes and criminal syndicates running the caverns below. Murder is just the cost of doing business. So when a special magistrate is found dissolving in a protein vat, it barely registers, until DCI Lutero Cade, the last honest cop in 5 Points, catches the case. What he finds could threaten the colony's very existence, or at the very least, Cade himself. Lost Planet Homicide will be available on Audible on October 21st, 2021, and will be free with an Audible Plus subscription.
Welcome back. We're still here. We're not dead yet. Our imaginary muse friends have not killed us. Unless this is the imaginary muse, and that's totally what an imaginary muse serial killer would say.
Yeah, unfortunately, Steve's muse looks and sounds just like him, so
It's true.
we're not really out much.
All right. So when we went to break, I was saying that, let's start talking about, the idea that the muse is not real and how to get away from that into doing work. And I think the first part of this, like I said, is, kind of like AA, the first step in any of these processes or progresses, whatever the word is, I'm a writer, is to say, is to admit that you have a problem. I believe that someone asked this on Facebook a while back. I don't remember who it was, so I can't credit you for your question. But basically, that's what this is. So the idea here is, look, it's okay to be tired. It's okay, like you said, to say, I need to go do something to frickin' recharge.
Yeah. It's okay to be stuck.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. I mean, some of the greatest geniuses there's ever been have been stuck. A lot of writers, we get in our heads because we spend the whole day in our heads, right? Yep. And we tend to beat ourselves up constantly. A lot of writers, especially when you're first starting out, you're like, I should be working harder. I should be doing more. And if it's a true statement, that's great. But a lot of times it's not true. It's not realistic.
Humans are exceptionally, especially humans who want to succeed. We're very hard on ourselves.
Yeah. And that's good to a point, but sometimes we debilitate ourselves. We're like, we know what we need to do, but we don't do it. Instead, we beat ourselves up for not doing the thing we know we should do.
So I think you and I are kind of going in the same direction here. And that's, the idea that you're constantly comparing yourself to the huge authors out there. Yeah. Like, it's not fair for me, for example, to compare myself to you. Well, it's not fair for you to compare yourself to Jim Butcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we're all in different situations. We're all in different places along this journey, along this career. And it's always good to shoot for the stars. It's always good to have goals. I mean, as a writer, realistically, you should set goals. You should set production goals. But you should set realistic, achievable goals that you can actually do and then work towards them. And then when you don't reach them, adjust fire Ask yourself why, and then be realistic and keep going. And it's like when you compare yourself to others, like a lot of people, like I have friends, author friends I talk to all the time, and they'll compare themselves to me. And they'll be like, well, Larry wrote this many words. Larry will write 10,000 words a week when he's, doing his writing stuff. And that's what I should do. Except that this is coming from a guy who's got a day job. That's a significant challenge. You can do it, but it is a significant challenge. And you need to recognize that and not beat yourself up.
Well, and to go along with that, again, you were just talking about the friends of yours who have day jobs, like yours truly.
Yeah. It's an entirely different process.
That's hard.
Well, plus, when I talk about the creativity faucet, your bucket doesn't get as many chances to get filled. Yeah. Because, you're already putting out, 40, well, for you, 50, 60 hours a week of brain work. And then you come home and you're going to go use your brain some more. You got to do what you got to do to get to where you can make those words come out when you have your chance to write.
Well, and I want those of you out there who are, okay, look, one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, well, I want to be a writer. So what's the first piece of advice you can give me? And the first thing I say is don't quit your day job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like being an author is not a sure thing. Doesn't matter how good you are. It's not a sure thing. Now, I firmly believe, and I think you firmly believe, that if you work at it hard enough, you're going to get there.
Yeah, it's one of those career fields that if it's all based upon your backlist. It's based upon what you have out there in circulation that's making a small amount of money. And if you keep putting new stuff on top of that, that old stuff keeps making money. So eventually you'll have enough to replace your income.
But until that point, you still got to do that thing, eat.
Yeah.
And, pay that mortgage or rent.
Well, and keep your wife happy and your kids.
I hear it's important.
Or your husband or whatever.
I hear it's
you
important
got family, you got to pet your dog.
Yeah, that's what I do most days. My dogs are nicer than my kids. So, it's okay to have moments and not even moments, but stretches of time where it's like, you know what? I need to make sure my day job is good.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's where I am.
Plus, for people starting out, your day job can fire you. And if you don't have a publishing contract yet, then you're not going to get fired.
Yeah, that's true.
Give yourself permission to suck and fail once in a while.
Yeah.
There's the old Michael Jordan commercial about, I've missed 15,000 free throws. I've, whatever. I've lost this many games. Mm-hmm. And he's the greatest of all time.
The greatest of all time.
And it's the same for writers too.
Oh, we tell people all the time in panels and stuff. We always say, look, it's okay to fail at this. It's okay. And you're going to. And the sooner you come to realize that and to accept the fact that, yeah, this is hard. Things are going to suck, but I'm going to get there, the better you're going to be.
Yeah. Well, let me flip this around a little bit too. As you get going, as far as nuts and bolts practicality to keep up that energy,
sure.
I'm talking Muse. I'm just talking like human work ethic here. Don't be afraid to mix things up.
Yeah. Like
when I first started out and I had sold Monster Hunter and I'd sold Monster Hunter Vendetta and they were doing pretty good. The next thing I tried to do was I tried to sell Hard Magic to Tony Weisskopf. Yeah. Why? Because I didn't want to be just the monster guy. Because I thought, looking back, my thought was, wow, if I do nothing but Monster Hunter stories, I'll probably make good money. But I'm going to get bored.
Yep.
I'm going to get worn out. And so, yeah, on a downside, I'm writing like 5 different series now, but I never get bored. Because once I'm done with a book, I don't immediately jump into another book in that series. I go do something entirely different. In fact, right now I'm rewarding myself because I just finished up 2 projects. Well, almost finished up. We still got the final edits. Yeah. But the next book I'm writing is the 4th book in the saga, The Forgotten Warrior, Son of the Black Sword series. And so what I'm doing is I'm listening to the 3 audiobooks.
Oh, nice.
So that's 16 hours each.
Tim Gerard Reynolds, right?
Tim Gerard Reynolds, great books.
Yeah.
Audio, he killed it. And so I'm listening
You guys should go pick those up on audio.
They're really good.
Tim Gerard Reynolds is one of the best audiobook narrators out there.
Yeah, Son of the Black Sword is the first one. And so I'm painting minis and doing, mini craft stuff while listening to 3 audiobooks to get my brain in the zone to go work in that universe. Mm-hmm. And that's work.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting paid to write to do this, but it's what I need to do in order to shift gears and to get in the next thing. And so I could beat myself up and say, "Oh my gosh, look at this! I'm wasting a whole week listening to audiobooks." Or I could say, wow, this is really cool. I get to listen to Tim's performance and his take on the characters and think about like the things that I could do better or different. Cool ideas pop up and I note those down. And so I'm making this a rewarding work week.
Well, and you never know. I mean, we talk about the whole idea thing all the time. You never know how inspiration is going to come and hit you over the head, right?
Yep.
Like what if by you listening to Tim Gerard Reynolds' performance of, Ashok or whatever, like something like the way he says a word or the way he enunciates or his performance like triggers something in your head and you go, oh yeah, I could really play up that kind of characteristic with him in this next book.
Yeah. And so
like it happens all the time.
It's an opportunity to step away, to refresh, to charge those batteries. I'm still being productive. And I could beat myself up about it because I'm not putting words on paper.
I think you used the right word there, and I really like it. You said the word opportunity. So instead of thinking about like writing excuses, I think you should think about like opportunities that you have to progress and to get better.
Absolutely.
So here's what I want to do, Larry. I want to think about what are perhaps some of the real reasons why people are blaming their muse or their writer's block or whatever it is for things, and how we can take those and turn them into positive reinforcement that people can use for themselves. And how can they take that negative and turn it into a positive? Okay. All right. So the first one, here's some of the main reasons why you're sucking. Okay. One, you didn't plan well enough.
Very possible.
Okay. You're saying you're stuck and you just don't know where the muse isn't telling you where the story's supposed to go. Is that it? Or did you not plan well enough?
Yep. Especially for outliners.
Yeah. For outliners, discovery writers, this is a huge trap. I think if you're a discovery writer, you're at danger of falling into the trap of thinking that the inspiration must strike. Because you're relying on organic, quick, natural growth in a story. And that's dangerous unless it's a skill that you've been building for a while. So here's the easy thing to do on that. Plan better.
Yep.
Like if you're a discovery writer that's having issues with this, maybe you should try outlining. Like you said earlier, switch it up.
Switch it up.
If you're an outliner who is like, oh, this is all feeling stale and static, and therefore my muse thinks it's stale and static, therefore I can't do anything. You know what? Go write a short story really quick where you start from nothing and go. Allow yourself to be surprised.
One of them that I think writers fall into a trap too, that we need to flip around, is change your scenery. And what I mean like that is we tend to get in our little writer cave, wherever it may be, and we tend to just sit in this little cold writer cave.
Absolutely.
Do our thing.
So you and we talked, I don't remember if it was this episode or the last, or one of the last episodes, where we were talking about how one of the scenes that you so graciously allowed me to write in Servants of War was the romance scene.
Oh yeah, it was a good learning opportunity.
And here's the thing, I remember this very specifically because I was back east and I was in New Hampshire, and I was sitting out on the back porch of this what's going to become a B&B in this old like 1800s house, and I sent you a picture from the backyard.
Yep.
And it was this absolutely stunning, gorgeous vista. And I sat there and I was watching, I was looking out there and I went, if I were writing this at my kitchen table, I'm not sure that I would feel right. But I'm sitting here, I'm seeing this gorgeous view, and I texted you the picture and I said, well, I'm not sure I could ask for better scenery for a romance scene that I got to write. Like change your scenery, change your point of view.
Yeah, get out of the writer cave, get out and just Oh man, for a lot of us, go exercise, go for a walk,
Yeah.
get out. I mean, if you live in a miserable, awful place, go. Just still, you can change the scenery to someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
Just get out, mix it up a little bit, get out of the writer cave. And just that's one reason I moved to where I moved. My office now has like this magnificent vista, every direction, mountain.
Absolutely.
It looks like Lord of the Rings for my house. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke. It really is nice.
Yeah.
But even then, sometimes I just got to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And I'll go to the grocery store and it'll help me unlock. It'll help me get out of my shell.
I think that another one of these issues is that people say, they just don't know how to make this work, how to progress. My answer is pretty simple to that. And it's the same thing that every athlete goes through. If an athlete wants to get better at, so if you're a pitcher for baseball, if an athlete wants to get better at his fastball, you know what he needs to do?
Throw a fastball.
Throw a fastball. A lot.
Yep.
Not just once, not just twice, thousands of times. And for us as writers, there's the old adage that, you need to write 1 million words before your words stop sucking. I don't believe that necessarily.
Yeah, because I wasn't near that before
No,
I started
screw that.
doing well. So
However, there is something to be said that, look, if I've written 1 million words, then you know what? I'm pretty sure that my more current words are going to be better than my starting words.
if you suck at dialogue, write more dialogue. If you suck at action, write more action. Just fiddle around with it and you'll get better as you go.
Shoot, we talk about this all the time. The thing that got me better was writing for RPG stuff,
Yep.
right?
Game
fiction.
fiction. Yeah.
And I could have gone the easy route. I could have. This is one of the few times you'll hear me kind of pat myself on the back. I could have taken the easy road, and I could have just said, well, I'm just going to write a base kind of boring journal entry so I can get my free XP, because I wanted to min-max.
No, you totally wrote like these dramatic, different shifting point of view. Each story you wrote was from a different
Yeah.
point of view.
It was, I'm going to write a pacifist. I'm going to write I'm going to write a sociopath. I'm going to write romance. I'm going to write whatever.
Yeah.
Because being able to adjust and shift and write different perspectives and, male, female, in between, whatever, aliens, humans, monsters, whatever you want, being able to write all those different things is important. And to be able to go out and do those different things, it does make it so that I'm not getting bored writing the same exact thing every time.
Yep. So just like I didn't want to be just the monster guy.
No, of course not. Now, here's the last point I want to make. And this is, we've talked a lot about, taking these perceived bad habits, a lot of them are just our bad habits, and turning them into good things. And whatever reason you think you're struggling with, be honest with yourself, diagnose it, and say, instead of saying, well, crap, that sucks, say, what can I do to alter this and change it and use it to my benefit?
Yeah.
It's okay to be selfish here. Here's the last thing, and I think this is funny, and this is why I don't buy the Muse. There are times when I'm fairly logical in terms of thinking, and I hear all the time that people talk about the aha shower moment. They're in the shower one day and they're like, oh man, I just have these great ideas in the shower, and that's the only place where I get them. I'm thinking, well, if that was true, then why don't you just stay in the shower all day and have great ideas? That's stupid.
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap.
So here's
what it
I
is
think
the shower is probably the one place he gives himself a chance to actually think.
Well, or I notice this a lot. And here's the reason why I came to this conclusion, Larry. I'm a binge writer. We know that. I've admitted that. And when you write that much in a short time frame, your mind doesn't spin down. It's constantly working on the 5, 6, 7,000 words you wrote that day and saying, okay, I wrote all those. Now what's the next segment? And you're doing that for a little while, and you're going on. Here's what I noticed. Every time I woke up in the morning and I got in the shower, because I don't function until I have a shower in the morning. Nice bit of way too personal information for all of you listeners. I would inevitably have a moment in the shower where I go, oh yeah, that's how I can fix that. Oh yeah, that's the next place I should go. The human brain is amazing. And the human brain works even when you don't think it's working. And so the more you are conditioning your mind to think about solutions and storytelling and think about the direction in which you're going, and the more you're using that, the more likely it's going to happen. When you go to sleep, your brain is still working. That's why we have dreams. Your brain is still working. And so when you get up in the morning and your brain actually like kind of sort of wakes up, it catches up. Everything catches up and you go, huh, yeah, you're calm in the shower. Everything's good. So stop giving credit to some imaginary formless muse and give that credit to yourself.
Yeah, take control.
Absolutely.
This is your destiny.
That's right. I mean, basically, if we learned anything from the latest Star Wars movies, we're all Skywalkers, apparently.
Oh.
So with that, we'll leave you with that, and we'll catch you on the next one, everybody. Take it easy.
Writer Dojo is Steve Diamond and Larry Correia. Produced by Jack Wilder and Baron Hare Studios. Theme song, Word Mercenaries by Craig Nivo. New episodes come out every Wednesday wherever you stream your content. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can help support us by going to anchor.fm/WriterDojo, by leaving us a 5-star rating or review, and by helping to spread the word. All questions and comments can be emailed to questions@writerdojo.com.
And Steve's kind of a sociopath, so it's